Macmillan Audio presents Slouching Towards Bethlehem by Joan Didion. Read by Maya Hawke. Turning and turning in the widening gyre, the falcon cannot hear the falconer. Things fall apart, the center cannot hold. Mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. The blood-dimmed tide is loosed and everywhere. The ceremony of innocence is drowned. The best lack all conviction, while the worst are full of passionate intensity. Surely some revelation is at hand. Surely the second coming is at hand, the second coming. Hardly are those words out when a vast image out of spiritus mundi troubles my sight. Somewhere in the sands of the desert, a shape with lion body and the head of a man, a gaze blank and pitiless as the sun, is moving its slow thighs while all about it, real shadows of the indignant desert birds. The darkness drops again, but now I know that 20 centuries of stony sleep were vexed to nightmare by a rocking cradle. And what rough beast, its hour come round at last, slouches towards Bethlehem to be born? W.B. Yeats. I learned courage from Buddha, Jesus, Lincoln, Einstein, and Cary Grant. Miss Peggy Lee. A preface. This book is called Slouching Towards Bethlehem because for several years now, certain lines from the Yeats poem, which read moments ago, have reverberated in my inner ear as if they were surgically implanted there. The widening gyre, the falcon which does not hear the falconer, the gaze blank and pitiless as the sun, those have been my points of reference. The only images against which much of what I was seeing and hearing and thinking seemed to make any pattern. Slouching Towards Bethlehem is also the title of one piece in the book. In that piece, which derived from some time spent in the Haight-Ashbury district of San Francisco, was for me both the most imperative of all these pieces to write, and the only one that made me despondent after it was printed. It was the first time I had dealt directly and flatly with the evidence of atomization, the proof that things fall apart. I went to San Francisco because I had not been able to work in some months, had been paralyzed by the conviction that writing was an irrelevant act, that the world as I had understood it no longer existed. If I was to work again at all, it would be necessary for me to come to terms with disorder. That was why the piece was important to me. And after it was printed, I saw that, however directly and flatly I thought I had said it, I had failed to get through to many of the people who read and even liked the piece, failed to suggest that I was talking about something more general than a handful of children wearing mandalas on their foreheads. Disc jockeys telephoned my house and wanted to discuss, on the air, the incidents of filth in the Haight-Ashbury, and acquaintances congratulated me on having finished the piece just in time, because the whole fad's dead now, fini, kaput. I suppose almost everyone who writes is afflicted some of the time by the suspicion that nobody out there is listening. But it seemed to me then, perhaps because the piece was important to me, that I had never gotten a feedback so universally beside the point. Almost all of the pieces here were written for magazines during 1965, 1966, and 1967. And most of them, to get that question out of the way at the outset, were my idea. I was asked to go to the Carmel Valley and report on Joan Baez's school there. I was asked to go to Hawaii. I think I was asked to write about John Wayne, and I was asked for the short essay on morality by the American Scholar, and on self-respect by Vogue. 13 of the 20 pieces were published in the Saturday Evening Post. Quite often, people write me from places like Toronto and want to know, demand to know, how I can reconcile my conscience with writing for the Saturday Evening Post.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?